You think you know what happened at Wargames? You think WWE showed you everything? Think again, because what we're about to expose will make you question every single thing you watched at Survivor Series 2025. The Women's Wargames match wasn't just controversial, it was a calculated manipulation of your emotions, your money, and your loyalty to this company. And by the end of this video, you'll see exactly why Rhea Ripley got screwed, why Bianca Belair's team never stood a chance, and how WWE played all of us like absolute fools. But first, let me ask you something. When Liv Morgan walked out with that smirk on her face, did you feel it, that burning rage? Because you should have. What she did in that cage wasn't wrestling, it was a statement. And if you're not angry about it yet, you will be in about 3 minutes. The road to Survivor Series 2025 started months ago, but nobody wanted to admit what was really happening. While everyone was distracted by championship matches and petty rivalries, WWE was quietly building the most personal, most brutal women's Wargames match in history. This wasn't about titles. This wasn't about bragging rights. This was about revenge, betrayal, and settling scores that ran deeper than any storyline we've seen in years. Let's rewind to where this psychological warfare really began. Rhea Ripley returns from injury, massive pop, everyone's excited, the Eradicator is back. But WWE knew something we didn't. They knew Liv Morgan had spent every single day of Rhea's absence building an empire. Not just winning matches, but systematically destroying everything Rhea cared about. Her friendships, her reputation, her trust, and most unforgivably, her relationship with Dominic Mysterio. Now here's the question nobody's asking, was this always the plan? Did Triple H and Creative know from day one that they were going to turn Dominic against Rhea? Because if you look at the timeline, everything lines up too perfectly. Every coincidence, every backstage segment, every social media post, it was all orchestrated to build to this moment. And we bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. The team started forming, and this is where things got really interesting. Bianca Belair, the ist of WWE, naturally steps up as the leader opposing Liv Morgan's faction. Respect to Bianca, she's carried the women's division for years. But here's what made this Wargames different, every single woman in this match had personal beef. Not manufactured WWE drama, but real, legitimate reasons to want to hurt each other. Quick question for the comments, and I really want to know your opinion on this. Who do you think wanted revenge more, Rhea Ripley for what Liv did to her personally, or Bianca Belair for what Liv's team did to the entire women's division? Drop your answer below because this debate is tearing the wrestling community apart. Becky Lynch's involvement added another layer. The man returns and immediately aligns herself with chaos. But why? What does Becky gain from this? Some people say it's about legacy. Others say she's just addicted to the violence. But I think there's something deeper happening here that WWE isn't telling us. Becky's been on top before. She's main event WrestleMania. So why risk everything in the most dangerous match in wrestling? Then we have the wild cards. Damage Control getting involved threw everyone off. Bayley and her crew have been trying to reassert dominance for months, and Wargames was their opportunity to remind everyone why they're the most cohesive unit in WWE. But here's the problem, and this is what eventually cost them. You can't build a team in 6 weeks and expect them to compete with women who've been at war for months. Chemistry matters. Trust matters. And in a Wargames cage, hesitation gets you destroyed. The build-up segments on Raw and SmackDown were absolutely insane. That contract signing where all hell broke loose. Pure chaos. Tables destroyed, security guards thrown around like toys, and Paul Heyman looking absolutely terrified in the corner. WWE pulled out every stop to make us believe this was going to be the most violent women's match ever. And you know what? They weren't lying. But here's where I start getting suspicious. Every single week, the same pattern emerged. Liv's team would get the upper hand through interference or numbers advantage. Rhea and Bianca's team would fight back but always come up short. WWE was conditioning us to expect a specific outcome. They were programming our expectations. Why? Because when the swerve came, it would hit even harder. Let me ask you this, and be honest in the comments, did you actually believe Rhea's team was going to win? Or did WWE's booking make you doubt them from the beginning? This is important because it reveals how much control WWE has over our emotions before we even realize it. The pre-match hype packages were masterclass storytelling. WWE knows how to make you care, I'll give them that. Showing Rhea's journey from injury to redemption. Highlighting every humiliation Liv put her through. The footage of Dominic's betrayal playing on loop. They weren't just promoting a match, they were selling us a catharsis. They promised us that Rhea would get her moment. They promised us justice. What we got was anything but. Survivor Series night arrives. Vancouver is absolutely electric. The crowd is split but leaning heavily toward Rhea and Bianca's team. The entrance order gets announced, always crucial in Wargames because whoever starts controls the early narrative. When Liv Morgan's team got the advantage, you could feel the energy shift. This wasn't going to be the heroic comeback story we expected. The match itself, absolute brutality, and I mean that in the best possible way from a pure wrestling perspective. These women left everything in that cage. Tables shattered, kendo sticks bent, bodies thrown against steel repeatedly. This was wrestling at its most primal, most visceral level. The spots were insane. I'm talking about moves we've never seen in women's wrestling before. Here's a trivia question for the hardcore fans. How many women have competed in Wargames matches throughout WWE history? Drop your answer below and let's see who really knows their history. But as the match progressed, something felt off. The referee positioning seemed strategic. Certain pin attempts were counted slower than others. Submissions that should have ended the match suddenly had convenient rope breaks. I'm not saying the match was rigged, but I am saying that WWE protected certain outcomes while sacrificing others. The final sequence is what broke the internet. Without spoiling it for anyone who somehow hasn't watched yet, though seriously, what are you waiting for? The finish was controversial. Not in a good "we'll debate this for weeks" way, but in a "this fundamentally feels wrong" way. The woman who deserved the victory didn't get it. The woman who orchestrated months of psychological torture walked out smiling. And that's exactly what WWE wanted. They didn't give us the satisfying conclusion because they are building to something bigger. Or at least that's what they want us to believe. But here's my problem with that logic. How many times are we supposed to watch our favorites get screwed before we stop caring? How many long-term storylines are we supposed to invest in before we demand payoff? The post-match fallout has been nuclear. Social media exploded with angry fans demanding explanations. Wrestlers themselves broke character to express frustration. Even mainstream sports media picked up the story because the controversy was too big to ignore. WWE achieved what they wanted. Everyone's talking about Wargames. But at what cost? Here's what really bothers me, and I need you to tell me if I'm crazy for thinking this. The Women's Wargames match at Survivor Series 2025 proved that WWE cares more about shock value than storytelling. They care more about trending on Twitter than giving fans satisfying conclusions. They've learned that controversy generates more engagement than quality booking, so why would they ever change? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is exactly the story they need to tell. Maybe Rhea's eventual triumph will feel even sweeter because of how much she suffered. Maybe Liv Morgan's reign of terror needs to continue for the payoff to matter. Or maybe, and this is what scares me, WWE has no idea where this story is going and they are making it up as they go along. So here's my final challenge to you. Comment below with your honest opinion. Was the Women's Wargames match a masterpiece of storytelling or a disaster of booking? Are you satisfied with the outcome or do you feel cheated? And most importantly, will you keep watching to see where this goes, or has WWE finally pushed you too far? Because that's what this all comes down to. WWE is gambling that our investment in these characters is strong enough to overcome our frustration with the booking. They are betting that we'll keep watching, keep subscribing, keep buying tickets, even when they refuse to give us what we want. The question is, are they right?